Thanks for watching The Instant Reaction. For full episodes of the Cannon Podcast, sign up as a YouTube member on this channel or go to patreon.com/thecannonpod. Welcome back to The Instant Reaction. Arsenal 1, Fulham 2 at Craven Cottage. Yeah, lots to unpack. Maybe if we just pass it to Saka again. Maybe if we just keep passing it to Saka.
Maybe not throw it into the box at all. Or just not shoot. Or just not try to score. Just not do anything.
Saka, mate. Just keep giving it to Saka. It'll work in the end. Look, in these situations, there is always an edict, I think, to try and work out what is frustration and what is the baby and what is the bathwater. And I think that is the goal for me of this instant reaction, to work out what is, oh, this player's terrible. Okay, that might be form. This might be whatever. Equally, there are some things that I do think probably need some addressing and some looking at, and hopefully we can try and work out what that is over the course of this instant reaction. But yeah, let's start with overall thoughts, mate. What were you? How are you feeling?
I'm angry. I'm very angry. Yeah. Very, very, very frustrating performance. See, against West Ham, I could sit here and go, look, they tried, made some chances. We're trying the right thing and we're doing the right thing, and it didn't quite work out. I could take that. But when I have a defeat like today where we keep getting opened up consistently with ease, right? And you could just see that everyone was lacking intensity. They were like 2 steps off the Fulham players. Yeah. And you're getting outworked by a mid-table side that's not won a game in 3 games, hadn't scored in a few games either. 15. Right? If that's happening to you, it's just frustration because, look, we can talk about injuries and stuff, but most of our players were fit today. And you could add the fact that you had Tomiyasu come in the second half as well, but a real lack of intensity, and it really, really frustrated me because I'm thinking to myself, look, if you're fighting for a title, you just drop points at home, and a game you could have said you got unlucky. You can't play like that. You can't play with that level of a lack of intensity, and there's got to be accountability for it.
Yeah, really poor, really, really poor. And yeah, trying to work out exactly where to start with this because there's a lot of stuff to unpack. I think, look, in terms of the application on the day, there's certain basics that that weren't right. Just speaking purely about today, the first touch, the second touch, every touch, often poor. Passing was poor. Intensity in the tackle was poor. We were getting to no second balls. We lost a lot of duels. So all the basic stuff was wrong. Or certainly not as good as it can be. And then I also thought tactically Arteta got today wrong. I think in the first half, he had a quote recently talking about control and sort of the idea, I think we might have spoken about on the podcast, and sort of being conscious of where on the pitch you want to control things. And in the first half, I felt as though we essentially didn't pull Ødegaard and Havertz down because we wanted their midfielders to jump up and to play it through their press and be away. And when we did get it through to Havertz and Ødegaard in that first half, in that first sort of 20 minutes, we were away. We had an overload in the middle and we looked great. We then had no execution, so we couldn't do anything with that. But the problem is Fulham, by having an underload in the first phase, they completely suffocated us. I think we lost a lot of confidence in that first 20 minutes. And then from there, everything just sort of starts to witter away. I also think we look tired. That's again, people will go, it doesn't matter. It does matter. If you've ever played football, you know that if you're tired, it is really hard. It's a part of the picture. It's not an excuse. I'm not saying that's the whole thing, but I do think that's part of it. Yeah, there's loads of other stuff, but God.
It was a suffocating performance for me to watch. All my energy went. I just fell into instant depression watching that performance because it was really, really boring. Really, because you're thinking to yourself, as an Arsenal fan, of a team that is trying to fight for a title, you think they're going to make a chance, they're going to do something, but you didn't have that feeling whatsoever. And so I just sat there and just sat back. I said, oh, they ain't scoring. And that's like the first time this season I've sat there going, they ain't scoring. Yep. And you're thinking to yourself, you've got Trossard, Jesus, Saka, all these players on the pitch, even in Nketiah as well, and that's not happening. Yep. There was something definitely wrong today.
Yeah. Arteta has no plan B and has hit his ceiling as a manager. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the baby. Let's find out what the bathwater is. Arteta's not hit his ceiling as a manager. We're in a slump. We've not been in this situation many times. So let's work out what's actually wrong and give him some time to actually fix what the problem is. I think it's far too reactionary. Let's look at the attack, because the attack seems to be the issue. Defensively, we weren't good enough today, but that's not been a problem long term. We've seen a lot this season that the attack has been strange, and I think it's the patterns. I kind of joked about it at the beginning. It's the lack of innovation in the final third, the seeming desire to just constantly play it out to Saka on the right hand side without any desire. There's so many moments where I saw a slip ball through to Erdegaard, or a slip ball through from Rice to someone else, or into Rice in the pocket, and we just don't do it. We play it out to Saka. We feel far too coached in the final third. There's that famous clip of Thierry Henry, right? We talked about, like, Guardiola, he get you to the final third, and then it's up to you and your intuition. And I'm not sure that's completely applicable to the modern game. I think you need to be a bit more coached in the final third now, and there are certain principles you can apply. But it just feels as though Trossard was about the only person who I didn't know what he was about to do in the final third. And that's the problem. If I can sit here as a spectator and as a fan going, I'll tell you what Saka's about to do, he's about to do this. I'll tell you what Martinelli's about to do, he's about to do this. Erdegaard's going to sit on the edge of the box, have a load of touches, and then play it backwards. You know what each player's about to do. I don't want to get into overcoach. I don't know. We're not on the training ground. We don't know what the instructions are, but something about the attack has to change.
Yeah, it feels robotic. It feels very slow. And there's a lack of risk takers. That's what it is. And you've got players that can take risks. Bukayo Saka and Martinelli are prime examples of that. But they're not taking risks. So it's not a matter of assigning, because the players are there, the profile was there. But it's just a matter of allowing them to do that. And they've done it in certain games. It was the game in the Champions League against Sevilla, where I think Martinelli had like the record amount of dribbles, and likewise Saka. So they can do it, but it's just a matter of allowing them to. It doesn't feel like we're actually maximising the profile of our attackers. Because I feel like so much can work, but it feels like they're getting forced into areas that are not comfortable or not maximising.
Yeah, I mean, in the Champions League, there's different spaces. You're asking players to do different things. They have more time on the ball, all sorts of stuff. And you could see it with that finish when the ball drops to Saka. He's panicking because he knows he's only got so much time in the box, and actually he had more time than he thinks. But naturally, in the Premier League, you think you have less time, and you normally do. But in that situation, he didn't. I think that betrays a kind of mentality towards the game. And look, if Gabriel Jesus is an inch or two further forward and he finishes that chance, or Saka, puts that ball away that we were just speaking about, or whatever, these are fine margins. So you don't. Again, I'm always cautious of throwing it all away and saying not good enough, or whatever. It's not that. It's about understanding how we can put ourselves in more situations where the fine margins can go for us. And the truth is, we're not having enough. Last game the problem was, we had too many touches in the box and it was all finishing, and that feels like maybe a common theme. But today it was getting into the box that was really, really the problem. Again, I hear the other counter argument, which is, well, actually a lot of the season we have been able to, we found a way of getting into the box. I don't know, but broadly speaking, I just do think it is far too predictable in the final third. It's far too predictable. We need fresh ideas, and I hate always looking to the market, because there is it's not necessarily an easy answer, but it's something I would prefer to have an internal fix. You can't just constantly look to the market. But I look at the way Saka and Martinelli play at the minute, and I can't imagine them operating in a different way under Arteta. Which isn't to say they can't. I don't know. I currently can't. I don't look at them and go, yeah, Saka could operate in a slightly different way. Maybe he receives the ball sooner. Can he drive inside? Do we create space? I don't think he's helped by the fact that Ben White and Tomiyasu didn't particularly help him. I think on the other side, I think the connection between Jesus, Havertz, and Martinelli is completely broken. But they were our threats last season, so we have to look to them and see if they can do anything about it.
Yeah, I think last year the thing we had in the first half of the season was a lot of the attackers would stay together. They'd stick because they start every game, and there's been a lot of chopping and changing this season, that to injury and down to unavailability, to now where it just looks disjointed. There doesn't seem to be a cohesive attack or any pattern of play or any go-to attack. Man City have got that my bad that pass from De Bruyne into the box, and we don't have that right now. We're trying that with Saka to that far post, but we're forcing it too often. And we started off with this interaction of just passing to Saka. It doesn't work all the time. You need to have variation, and I think, yeah, it is a matter of maybe that Fabio Vieira profile, but he's not the answer right now. If Fabio Vieira was fit, he wouldn't change today's game massively. But that profile, that's why Mikel Arteta signed him, is that find that passing behind. Which of our Arsenal players today was actually threatened to play that ball behind? Not a single one. It was all in front, and they Fulham player presses them, and you go back again and start reset again and again and again, and there's no risk taking in that final third whatsoever. There's not a player, and we saw it a little bit with Trossard, and I was like, yeah, go on, a bit more of that. Just like you do something, give me something as a fan to actually go, okay, we might actually score. Because if I can predict it and I'm a football fan, I'm pretty sure professional footballers that are playing in the Premier League are going to know what's happening.
I think you're right. Shyam, thank you for your contribution. It feels like if the Arteta style of attack is figured out, the young boys can't find solutions on their own on the pitch and they lose confidence. I want to try something quickly, see if I can share this on the screen. I think one of the big things that has changed is teams are setting up ever so slightly differently against us, and it's really killing us. I think last season, can you see that, mate?
Yes.
So last season, we obviously had Saka, Ødegaard, and White on this far hand side, right? And we had these triangles. I'll just change the numbers so people know who I'm referring to. We had these triangles, right? And we knew that was working. Firstly, White isn't overlapping. I hate going with the he's injured. We don't know that. And if he is injured, then we need to find different solutions. And it's been many times this season when White has played over Tomiyasu. So I don't buy this idea that he's just injured and that's the problem. I think we've done a lot of logical leaps. So you're spending a lot of time here. But secondly, last season when the ball was played out to Saka, he attracted a lot more defenders. And what killed teams was that connection into the half space because Ødegaard had a bit more time to go and do that. Now teams are dropping and doubling up their wingers often or sometimes. Their wingers are either coming back or they're just giving a little bit more space to this player here so he can get into Ødegaard sooner. The thing last season, the reason the right side was so effective was because of the support of White, but because Saka was attracting more players. Now teams are setting up in different ways, whether it's they're pulling the winger back or they're pulling that defender a little bit further over, and it's not working in the same way. That is a big problem for me. And it's one of the many problems in the final third. Another thing is I think teams are being more physical with us in terms of working with Jesus. I think obviously, there's a form thing, there's a confidence. There's loads. It's never one thing. But tactically in the final third, we need to find some different solutions. And I don't know whether it's changing formation or I really don't know. I don't know.
That's why a lot of Arsenal fans right now are really just frustrated because they don't know the answer. There's not a clear, if that player comes back from injury and it's going to solve everything, or if that player a lot of our key players are underperforming right now. But I don't want to overgeneralize too much because you look at the recent performances we had, against Villa, we got defeated, but I think we were the better team. Even against West Ham, I would still say we were the better team in terms of chance creation, right? But we were defeated. In this game was the first game I could say maybe this season, especially in the Premier League, where we've lost a game and I've gone, we were clearly the worst team, clearly.
Yeah. And in a way, sorry to drop, but in a way, if you flip that on its head, that's kind of a good thing. I don't want to focus on positives or whatever. But
that was the inner optimist of me saying, like, listen, this is the first time I can sit here and go, we've actually been the worst team by a mile.
Yeah. Kieran52, thank you for your contribution, mate. Zero effectiveness from our wing backs. Also, Rice when teams are running the channels and cutting back is suspect. Noticed since Lons away. I haven't noticed that personally, but interesting. What do we make of Rice's performance?
Good and bad. There was parts that I liked. There was some passing that was cutting through, and I like that he tries to help on the right hand side, getting forwards, trying to drive through a few players. But he seems like he's got he does. He's got a lot of defensive responsibilities, and so at times, as you can see with the cutbacks, he's gonna have. There will be an overcompensation. There will be when you've got the only midfielder, you've got two attacking number 10s basically playing in front of you. You've got to do a lot of defensive work there. So for sure, that's an area where he can struggle at times. But I don't think he's poor defensively. It's just a matter of he's got a lot to do.
I think you're right. I also just to pick up on the wing back point as well. I do think on both sides. I don't think we can necessarily describe them as wing backs, but I think White, for whatever reason, isn't supporting Saka. I don't buy the physical side of it as much. Maybe it's an element of it. I don't buy it. And on the left hand side, I think we would have played with Zinchenko. And I think I even saw maybe you saying, be careful what we wish for with Zinchenko because especially in games like this, he does progress us. He does make us look 100%. A lot more in control in certain ways. I saw a comment. Where was it? Yeah, Mohamed Basha. Yeah, how many minutes have our starting 11 played so far? It's not just about physical fatigue; you need mental breaks also. And I think this is another factor. Again, it's never putting it down to one thing. It's a factor that I do think a lot of these players have had a lot of minutes. And you look at the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Rice, Odegaard. It's a lot of minutes and it's a lot of time and concentration. And yeah, on this. It's over. We won't win it. Look, guys, if we really look at the Premier League table, like, and I know it's really disappointing, and I'm not in any way suggesting that this is acceptable or whatever. And there's problems that 100% that we need to talk about, and we should continue to talk about. But if we have a look at this Premier League table, we can't say it's over. It's not over. Let's calm down. We're in a poor run of form. Look at that: loss, win, draw, loss, loss. We're in a poor run of form, but we're still 2 points off Liverpool. Yep, they have a game in hand on us, but we're still 2 points off top. We're still 2 points off Aston Villa. We're on the same points as Man City. Okay, they got a game in hand. We know how quickly things can change in this league. What we top at Christmas, thinking how great everything was. So things change very, very quickly. We've got half the season left to go, and a lot of players to return. We've got January. There's lots of reasons to be optimistic. But that's not, and again, the problem is when you say that, people go, oh, you're ignoring the negative. And I'm not ignoring the negatives. It's a part of the picture. The other part of the picture is how do we fix our attack? I think there's a creeping concern defensively. I don't think it's a structural thing. Yeah, I don't know with the defense. I haven't really worked out exactly how I feel about it, but today just felt. What were the two goals? They were the sort of the one where it drops in the box from the corner, and generally we've been all right from corners. So I'm not. Again, I'm trying to look for patterns, not just blame individuals and saying.
Two of the goals we've conceded in the last two games have been flukes. There's Zinchenko when he comes across to take off Gabriel and it kind of goes up but doesn't go up. It's a fluke. That's what it is. It's luck, right? If we score, that's a lucky goal. And then it's the same with the corner. He cleared it into a player and it's gone. Luck's going against us right now, so it's kind of compiling everything together. And then what happens is fans obviously have the idea they had in the first place of we're a lot worse than last season, and now it's compiling that together. Oh no, we're the worst. And that's why you're going to get obviously a lot of fans that are going to overreact. But I guess it's fair, because they're fearful. They want to see the best for the team, and I can sense why it's there. But I just want to, hope for the best because I feel like there is still a lot to but I think all it takes is 2-3 wins in a row now. And you're back up there again, and you're back in the conversations. Maybe we need this time away from the spotlight because we've been top of the table from most of the season, anyways, most of last season as well. And that doesn't guarantee a title, by the way. So maybe it takes a little step back to actually take some 2-3 steps forwards.
Yep. Our corner defending is lousy and has been so since last season. It's just not true. It's just not true. Sorry. Look at I've got some stats up for you. This is our set play XG against. We've conceded the least in the league. Yeah, it's just not true, guys. I know it feels like that way, but it's just not true. So we have to try and be careful about what are we trying to fix and what are we not trying to fix. And I think throwing everything away when there are things that are working is silly. So let's try and fix it. So I think we're looking at a potential worry about some defensive concentration, which I think it could be related to personnel. I think we're definitely looking at attacking patterns and how that's structured. I think our ball progression is still okay, and our finishing obviously is still a concern. Those feel like the big things for me.
100%, and I think even in terms of we talk about the attack prior to this game, our non-penalty XG was getting higher and higher per game. You look at the game against West Ham, the game prior to that, even against we were making more and more chances, so the attack was definitely improving. Today is just, I want to hope that it's a one-off performance where we were the best off the worst team in terms of the basics, in terms of the intensity, which is not normally the case, by the way. How often can you come out of a game and go, Arsenal were the worst team in terms of intensity? Normally, we're the team working them off. So, it was like that game where, was it Villa against Man City a few weeks ago, where Villa completely outplayed them, and it was just teamed in terms of intensity as well. So, I feel like, I hope that's a one-off, and I'm sure Mikel will be going into the right now, for sure.
He's not sat there thinking this isn't Ten Hag who's going to come out and say it worked well for us, or Emery is going to say tactically it worked how we wanted it. Clearly he's not going to be happy. Malachi, thank you for your contribution, mate. I don't understand why Nelson doesn't start when he's on the pitch and it's all down the right. People hate Zinni, but we needed him attempting to break the lines. Also a reason why we need Partey. I think we've spoken about Zinni, but Partey and Nelson. didn't have his most effective game, but again, you've got to consider the game state. You've got to consider, was that the right game to have Nelson in? Because he is in that sort of camp of players. I think, as I've said before, there's 4 or 5 players who can work in every game state, and there's a number of players, Smith Rowes, Nelsons, Trossards, who just work in certain games better. And I'm not sure this was the game for Nelson. Do we worry about him taking Martinelli off, or maybe what do we think about that sort of choice?
Wait, in this game or just in general? Because he always takes Martinelli off.
As in, in general, yeah.
I think he takes him off because he's the easiest player to take off out of the front. Out of the attack. That's what it is. You take off Bukayo Saka and there's a massive conversation starting. Because he's in terms of difference makers, who's been a more consistent difference maker in the past season is Bukayo Saka. Over the past 2-3 years, Bukayo Saka. So you keep the player that you trust the most in the final parts of the game. And he trusts Trossard more than Martinelli in the final parts of the game. Because he thinks that, experienced player who's normally a good finisher in front of goal, give him a chance, he might score. And we've seen it this year. That goal against Chelsea is a prime example.
Yeah. Partey as well. I think we do. Every player becomes world class when they're sat on your bench. But I think Partey is 100% a factor in this, and you can just it's not only the player himself; it frees Rice up to do different jobs. And I thought actually I didn't think Kivior had a particularly good game, but in the opening 15 minutes, Kivior was stepping in and stopping Iwobi actually quite well. And I thought if Rice is a bit further up the pitch doing that job, can we play with a different type of left backs? It's all sort of jigsaw pieces.
Linked together.
Yeah, it's just another option that we do miss. Thank you again, Akana Designed, for your contribution. Team doesn't trust either Nketiah or Jesus. I never saw a cutting pass into the D where Nketiah likes to spin off a centre back or Jesus likes to back them into goal. We can get Tony, but it won't change much. Specifically on the centre forwards, I think I do buy Arteta maybe saying that Jesus needs to be a bit more fresh or whatever, but equally I think you just start with your best players. So I wonder what he thought about what happened at West Ham. I think we're in a catch-22 where we have a brilliant facilitative forward in Jesus, who does so much for the team, maybe less so this season, but still does a lot for the team and isn't the best finisher. And then we have, on paper, a very, very good finisher who maybe is... I saw a thing recently saying something along the lines of Eddie plays for Eddie, and I agree with that. And I think Eddie does a lot of work, stood on the last line, waiting for that ball to be spun in behind, and not, he does a bit of facilitative work, and I'm not writing that off, but it's not his absolute strength. So we kind of got 2 players with slightly different skill sets, and not one that can come together and be everything for us. I do feel, Bhavs, that we need something in January. I hate looking at the market, and I also think we need a defender more urgently, honestly, as I've said, in terms of numbers. I think if Zinchenko isn't fit and Tomiyasu goes away to the Asia Cup of Nations, we've got our 4 defenders and Cedric Suarez, so we need something. But looking forward, is there something on the market that you can see us doing? Because I just think we need new ideas. It's not even necessarily, I don't even necessarily want that next level striker. We need some kind of new ideas and impetus, someone who's a bit more direct, someone who's a bit more, who's going to take his man on. I mean, when's the last time we saw someone really take their man on? I don't know.
That's the most annoying factor, is because we've got players that can do that. So yes, we can sign a Pedro Neto, who's amazing at that, but we've got players already at the club that are pretty good at taking players on when they try. Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka. So I'm trying to figure out, is it a matter of system or is it a matter of personnel? So the Arsenal keep getting linked to the likes of Pedro Neto. But if he was to come into the team, would he perform differently to Gabriel Martinelli? Because that's clearly a profile. Exactly. That's clearly a profile Arteta wants. And you think about, how would our team look like right now if we had signed Mudryk last season instead of Trossard? Would he be starting over Martinelli? Would he be providing a little bit something different? So I think we need pace, for sure. I think our attack lacks a lot of pace. And that's why we're not asking questions behind. But in terms of who that's going to be, it becomes a matter of opportunities. There might be a loan transfer. There might be a short-term transfer. I don't know if they're going to sign a long-term player. And unless Mikel Arteta goes, I think Ivan Toney guarantees a title for me this season, and I need to sign him now. And I think he can guarantee me more than just the title this season as well. And he becomes really fixated on that idea. I don't think it happens. Or, somehow they got to just go activate Osimhen's release clause.
Yeah, and I just can't see that happening from so many perspectives, specifically FFP as well. And I think with Tony, they're not going to do anything other than a loan. The minimum they do is a loan with obligation. They're not going to give us a straight loan or a loan with option. It's just not going to happen.
No, of course not.
Yeah. Diffidence, thank you so much for your contribution. Guys, we have to sort out our front five. Let's be frank, out of the top four, we're the lowest of getting our front five. The XG disagree. I'm not sure it's the lowest out of the top four. I don't know those numbers. You know, supposedly Man United are a top four club. But look, we can always laugh at United. But yeah, look, it's certainly a problem. I'm sorry to go back to the tactics board, but just to make another brief point, I found a lot of the problem, if I just move these players out of the way, is where our players in the final third are receiving. So, for example, Saka is often receiving here, and he's able to get inside, so he can access these kind of areas. But Martinelli, for the most part, a lot, is either receiving it far too early here or receiving it far too late over here. So you can only access the box here. It's that sweet spot here where Martinelli can drive inside there that he's not receiving it. Saka manages to do that because he has a bit more support. But I don't know. There's something slightly off about the way our forwards receive it, and I think that's another issue. And Malachi says, I don't think we have an elite dribbler, and maybe not. The main thing for me, mate, is the taking players on and doing something unpredictable. And the problem is you can't necessarily account for that. That's something that just needs to come from your team. You need someone who's willing to do that, has the personality to do it. But I wonder whether Arteta stops them. Because who have we had under Arteta who is a maverick who stayed in the team? And by the way, I don't think, you know, if you look at top teams now, they have wingers who do a very specific job. You can't have Arjen Robben and Ribery anymore. But there is a level to which it becomes so functional. If you just have Grealish, where's your spark coming from? Because that was Mahrez. Mahrez could give you a moment, and that's all you need, a little bit.
You look at the signings of Pep's made over the past summer. Doku, Nunez, players that are very good ball, and even Kovacic, very good ball carriers of a very high percentage as well. I wonder how long it takes Mikel Arteta to get to that stage. In terms of, you know, you look at the targeting of Mudryk, but more Pedro Neto as well, who's I think one of the best dribblers in the league this season in terms of numbers. We need that profile, but as we keep saying, how are we going to use that profile? Is it going to be to actually use it to his strengths and actually let him go and do his magic? Because I felt like in a game like this, we needed a game breaker. We didn't have any. Not that we allow him to use. You could argue that Emil Smith-Rowe could do that at times. You know, he can dribble past a few players, but we're not using that ability. So I think it's a matter of Mikel Arteta figuring out what is the next proper step for his attack without being too short term. You know, too panicky. Oh, we need something. And I don't think he will be, by the way. He ain't gonna panic. He's gonna double down on what he knows, and you know, all it takes is one or two wins. As I said, this is for me our first really bad performance of the season. So we've been defeated a few times, but when I talk about actual defeats that you go, we deserve to lose that game. For me, this is my first. So I'm not gonna panic too much. But I am totally aware that there's going to be a lot of overgeneralized opinions.
And as Sam says,
the X.
We can't forget, it's been raining.
It was raining.
It's raining for both teams.
It was raining. But it's funny because it's just such fine margins. You know, look at the Fulham's second goal. It literally is a fluky goal as it gets, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, why now did you come? All times. You could have come when we were winning games earlier this season. Why did you have to come this moment now? To just compile the misery on top of me.
No. Diffident says he's going to contest you with you over a call if you'd like for Ivan Toney. So I'll give him your number, Bhavs. Is that all right?
Not the solution.
And Kuna, thank you. Kuna1123, thank you so much. Right, let's do some questions. Get your questions in and your comments in. I've got a bit of time with you, Bhavs. We could probably go over the normal half an hour.
We haven't seen the field tilt, my friend.
We haven't seen the field tilt. Did we win on field tilt?
We need to see the field tilt.
Did we win on field tilt? Guys,
Alex, we've gone half an hour without field tilt.
Perhaps you're not going to believe this. You are not going to believe this. No, you're not.
Don't break my heart. If we were lost, I don't want to see it. If we were lost, I don't want to see it.
Oh, is it not? It's not sharing. Come on, share.
Yeah, share. If we lost, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. Don't worry. Where is it? Share my screen. Wasn't it
we
working?
didn't lose, surely. No, sure. Did we?
Hang on. I got to save it so I can actually show it. The anticipation is unbelievable. For some reason, I just won't let me share my screen. Hang on.
Oh,
No, I'm back. Don't worry. It just won't let me share my screen. But we won. We won 63.4 on field tilt to their 36.6.
I can now celebrate my New Year's Eve.
That's all that matters.
We'll be popping them bottles going, we want a field tilt, mate.
Field tilt FC, baby. Right, yeah, get your questions in. We've got a bit of time to answer some questions. So, yeah, get them in.
I feel like we learn a lot more from defeats. So when we win a game, it's always kind of a similar story. Very good, this and that. But let's actually talk about what we feel is, on our chest right now. I think a lot of fans have got a lot on their chest, and when you lose a game, it all comes out at once. Sometimes a bit too much, right? Sometimes a bit. Ronnie, are you subscribing to the channel?
Ronnie, and more importantly, just won, bro. You just won. Go enjoy your win.
I think Ronnie's subscribed to the Patreon. I can't lie.
I think he is. Yeah. I think he is. Takeshi says, "How do we blame Zinchenko today?" We can somehow. I don't know how, but we got to do it.
Yeah, there is a lot of overgeneralized opinions of Zinchenko for sure.
Patrick Dawson says, would Postecoglou get more points with the same squad because Arteta's turning Arsenal into expensive Stoke?
Stoke dead.
Nico Pepsi. Hey, mate, I just want to say Arteta is for the blame. So is all the players playing U-shaped football, thinking Bukayo Saka's Ronaldinho. Weak, naive, just dumb. He has to fix up. Maybe Havertz at centre forward.
I don't think Mikel sees him that as a viable option. He's done it once a season, actually. That's it. He's done it once this entire. He started one season. What was it? Man City, the Community Shield. That was the only game. I was Jesus injured. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
So I don't think he sees it that.
Jesus, in my opinion, does the Maverick stuff, but not to a consistent level. So I just don't think they have it in the locker. No skill moves. It can get very repetitive. The thing is, like, go on.
I was going to say is I don't think Mikel's going to make this fundamental change to the system going into our next game against Liverpool. By the way, he will see today's performance as us losing basics. As intensity and the duels, right? And he'll go in and he'll be like, guys, duels. That's what he'll do.
Who's that?
Mikel Arteta. I don't have the same accent ability as yourself, mate.
Arteta says that was the worst performance of the season. Painful, a sad day. That's how I would sum it up. Declan Rice, there's no need to panic. There's still so many games to go. We need to be positive. This is not the time to be negative. We've got a great manager, a great set of players, and we'll keep going. Mikel Arteta says we weren't good enough. Simple as that. Today we were nowhere near the level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is actually like I can sit here and go, we deserve to lose that game. I always get a lot of rival fans that say to me when Arsenal do lose games this season, "Oh, why don't you talk about the rival teams?" And I'm like, I don't feel like they deserve to win that game. You look at the West Ham game, for example. I didn't think they were the outright better team by any means. To talk about great defending, we opened you up 5 times, mate. What do you mean great defending? We could have scored 3 or 4 goals in that game. So I don't talk about great defending like that. But today, I could tell that Fulham were, a better coach team, you could say. But they had more intensity. They had more, just the basics of the passion and the desire to just go in that ball back, to get in our face, to make sure it's difficult for us. And it was annoying for me to watch because I'm going to myself, bro, they're doing the right things. So I think Mikel will put this down to fundamentals, not down to systems or players or individuals or signings. He'll go, look, this is the first time I've seen it this season of us just being out physiqued.
Yep. Eddie and Smith Rowe have to go in January to have money to spend. Sounds like that's the case.
One will go.
I think one will go. We haven't discussed Smith Rowe. Doesn't trust him.
And he should be the one. If he's serious about his career, I think he should go.
Yeah.
I would love him to stay and love him to break into the first team, but it's not happening. And so if I'm Emil Smith Rowe, what is he, 22, 23 now?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at his stock, he's still at a stock where a Newcastle would still go for him. Maybe fast forward a year and they've signed someone else and they won't go for him.
Yeah.
So I think he needs to look to force something.
The shame for us is he's a different profile to what we have in that position. But if the coach doesn't trust him, it doesn't matter. You can say all you want about it, but
there's always that thing, man, where fans have got that player they want to see start. Kivio is a prime example, actually. Like, start him, and then he starts today, and they go, actually, he's not ready, is he? So
maybe the coach is serious.
Maybe he does know a bit more than us.
Wayne, thank you for your contribution. Jacob, thank you for your contribution. We need a striker in Jan and a CDM. How players like Eddie, Cedric at this company, Tony in January and Supermandy, then in summer get covered for Saka. His form is non-existent. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of players stay at Arsenal because Arteta likes them for the culture, and I think players. It's clearly from what Arteta says.
That's important, by the way.
I know 100%. Players like Rob Holding staying around that long, but specifically players like El Neni, Nketiah, Cedric, they clearly are the players that are happy to be not emergency, but play less minutes, but also give it absolute everything every day in training. And I think it's not necessarily. I think we watch the games, we watch the 90 minutes, and we don't necessarily see that. And I think it's more important for those making the decisions than it is for fans.
I agree.
Simon says, Hypno says, I heard Kim Kallstrom is available in January. I'm going to try and find someone. Someone said near the beginning of this that we need Pepe back, and I just can I
He's
find
a maverick.
it?
He's a maverick.
Listen.
He's a maverick, I'll tell you that.
I can't find it, but someone near the beginning of it, someone can find that comment, but someone at the beginning of the thing.
We've not, obviously, we had the blip towards the end of the last season in the title race, right towards the end, but I think at this part of the season, we've not had it for a while. You are about to see on the X the most overgeneralized, worst opinions you will ever see until we win a game again. Pep Arteta needs to go. Bring in Eddie Howe, something like that. It will happen. Trust me. You will see it. You will see that Bukayo Saka's an average player. Apparently, Lacazette needs to return. You know, you will see it. And this is what annoys me the most about defeats: is fans don't actually look at what's wrong. They'll just go, everything's wrong.
Alba's cooking in France.
Is he? I mean, we've seen his last 2 games.
When was the last time Raya made an important save? I thought Raya was quite good today, actually.
He actually made a good save as well. Actually, it was a lovely save where he kind of top right, top left.
Yeah, to his left, from Kenny, I think it was.
Yeah.
I thought he was all right. I actually thought he was pretty good today, and he started off our counter.
Honestly, he saved the penalty over there.
Kolasinac, bring back Marquinhos. Let's get Guendouzi in. Bring back Iwobi.
Might as well bring back Unai Emery. I'm telling you, there'll be fans saying, "Bring back Unai Emery." 100%.
Oh God! Right, Bhavs, we'll finish it there.
Yeah,
we'll finish it there. Listen, everyone. Go and enjoy your New Year's Eve. Don't let Arsenal ruin another evening this year. They haven't ruined that many evenings, but recently they've ruined quite a few of my evenings. So let's go and enjoy it and have a happy New Year. We don't need to change the manager. We don't need to sack all our players. We don't need to kill someone. Like, just calm down. Let's have a look and look at what we need to do.
Our duels. We need to win our duels.
Get the basics of football right, but more importantly, work out our attacking patterns.
Sean Dyche quote.
Put it in that end. Don't stop it going in that end. Look, get the basics right, obviously, and improve our finishing. That is, be better in both boxes. Fair enough. It's our attacking patterns. It's how we approach the final third. It's being careful of our defensive concentration, which I think is starting to slip a little bit, and just maybe some freshness in January. We don't need to throw everything away.
Here's how I see it. I think I see it as normally, Mikel will go, we've lost the game in the boxes. Today was the first time we've actually lost the game outside the boxes.
Very good. That's good analysis. Can you compare the XG of our front 3 versus other top 6, please? You'll see what I mean.
But if you've seen our XG in the last 10 games in the league, it's really gone high compared to the rest of the league. I've seen a stat recently about it, that we've actually made a lot of chances recently. So this is a game where we didn't make many chances, but take the last 5 games before that, we were making more and more chances.
Yeah, I wish I could share my screen, but we're still fairly high in the open play XG table. Obviously, really high on the set play XG table. I think from an XG perspective, because of the way we play, and how solid we've been, they are related. So we can't always look at that. There we go. There is 2023 there and there. Say that, Bhavs.
There and there.
There and there. I hope you all have a lovely New Year's Eve. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe. And let's remain positive. Let's
just
Bhavs.
See you in 2024, mate.
See you in 2024, mate. Peace.
Peace.